Not the rattling iron of tyrants past, no, the modern slave wears chains of silk, woven of politeness, productivity, morality. You do not hear their clink, because they have grown into your bone. And yet I hear them. I hear the slow drag of your spirit across the marble floor of obedience. You wake each morning beneath the weight of laws you did not write, and call it peace. You bow before invisible altars not to gods, but to the herd's thousand-eyed gaze, and call it virtue. You eat the bread baked by your own renunciation and call it a good life. The world has not robbed you. You have gifted it your crown, and now walk proud in the dust, like a beggar who calls himself humble. Once, man was a lion, a storm of blood and laughter. Now he is a docile clerk of his own instincts, stamping out each dangerous desire before it can awaken and burn. You praise yourself for not being a wolf, but forget that sheep are the first to be devoured. Do you remember the day you stopped asking why? No, you do not. The amnesia was gentle. It came with praise, promotions, polite applause for coloring within the lines. The herd rewarded you with comfort for every surrender of the self. And slowly, you traded the roar of your becoming for the soft hum of conformity. You think your virtue is a ladder to the heavens. I tell you it is a cage without bars. You were born into a kingdom of mirrors, where every face reflects not itself, but the expectations of 1,000 strangers. Here, truth is not spoken, it is voted upon. Here, morality is a marketplace, and you barter away your instincts for the counterfeit coins of approval. You have been taught to love your leash, to kiss the hand that fastens it, to wear your submission like a crown. And when your soul stirs in rebellion, you hush it, as one might hush a mad prophet who speaks of earthquakes to a city built on sand. I tell you now, you are not at peace. You are sedated. Your calm is the stillness of a graveyard before the rain. Look at your hands, they were not made for folding. Look at your mouth, it was not made for silence. Yet you speak in the language of safety. Your tongue trained to pronounce only the words that will not disturb the sleep of others. You call this kindness. I call it treason against your own becoming. Once, there was a time when the soul was a forge, and men were molten metal. We shaped ourselves in fire, not in the lukewarm waters of compromise. We stood naked before the abyss, and dared to name ourselves gods. But you avert your gaze from the abyss, as if it were a mirror showing your true face. Do you feel that faint trembling in your chest? That is not fear. That is the first crack in the wall of your false contentment. That is the forgotten heartbeat of your ancient self, the self before you were tamed. But beware, to hear it is to be summoned, and the summons is not gentle. The road out of the herd is paved with your own blood, your own laughter, your own unmaking. You will not leave the herd as a pilgrim seeking paradise. You will leave as an exile, hunted by those who once called you brother. You will walk into the wilderness of your own mind, and the beasts there will not all be friendly. Yet I say to you, better to be torn by the claws of your own truth than to be stroked into sleep by the hand of the herd. You still cling to the statues you did not carve, kneel before altars whose gods have long rotted into dust. You carry these idols in your chest like sacred stones, unaware that their weight bends your spine toward the earth, and you call this posture humility. But humility, in your mouth, is a disease. It eats the muscle of your will until you no longer stand you lean. The idols whisper to you in the language of your childhood, the soft lullabies of obedience. Be good, be loved, be small. And you, like an eager disciple, recite these commandments until they blur into your own voice. You have made an organ of your chains. You play hymns upon them daily. The herd loves this. The herd feeds on this. They need you to kneel, because your kneeling makes their own knees feel less brittle. They will crown you for your submission. They will write books about your virtue. They will name streets after your silence. But there is a sound the herd cannot bear, the sound of an idol cracking. Once, I stood in the temple of the old gods and heard that sound. It was not a polite fracture, but a thunderclap that shook the pillars to their roots. And in that sound I heard the secret. There is no temple that will not fall, no law that will not decay, no truth that will not eventually wear the mask of a lie. The holiest thing a man can do is not worship, it is to strike. Strike until the dust of false heavens fills your lungs, until the marble of dead virtues splits beneath your heel. Strike until the world no longer has a name for you. You are told that without your idols you will be lost. I tell you, without your idols you will begin. For the first time, the road will be yours. Not the road they marked for you with signs and boundaries, but the road that coils like a serpent into the wilderness of your own hunger. And hunger, yes, that is the first honest thing in you. It will burn, it will gnaw, it will make a famine of your old comforts. But do not feed it with crumbs of safety. Feed it with mountains. The herd will say you have become dangerous. Good. The lion is dangerous to the deer, the storm to the ship, the flame to the moth. Only that which burns and breaks is worthy of the name alive. And yet I do not speak to you of violence for the sake of blood, but for the sake of birth. To strike the idol is to make room for the God you have not yet dared to imagine, the God that is not above you, but within you, silent until now, waiting for you to clear the altar of its impostors. This God does not ask for prayer, it demands action. It does not bless, it dares. It does not judge, it creates. You will know when it wakes. The air will change. Your eyes will no longer see in the dull colors of consensus, but in the fierce and terrible light of your own vision. And in that light, you will see the herd for what it is, not evil, but small, not cruel, but afraid. And their fear will call to you like a tide, pulling at your ankles, begging you to return to their shallow shore. You must not. For there is a moment in the life of every would-be sovereign when the choice is made to turn back and be loved, or to walk on and be alone. And in that moment, you will hear a voice, not mine, not the herd's, but your own, unmasked for the first time. It will not plead, it will command, go. And so you will go. You will walk through the gates of the city with your back unbent, feeling the eyes of the herd like knives in your spine. You will carry no banner, no manifesto, only the unyielding fire of your own necessity. The road beyond will not be paved. It will not be lit. It will not be safe. It will wind through valleys where the air smells of ash and up mountains whose peaks stab the clouds. At night, the stars will look down like cold and ancient judges. And still, you will go. For in the wilderness, you will find the fragments of your forgotten self scattered like bones in the dust. Here lies your laughter, buried beneath the soil of propriety. There lies your rage, rusted from years of disuse. And there your courage, still breathing faintly under the weight of 1,000 cautious tomorrows. You will gather them, one by one, piecing together the creature you were always meant to be. And as you do, you will come to know the taste of something the herd has long forgotten, not happiness, but ecstasy. The ecstasy of standing unshielded in the storm, of feeling every wound as a victory, of loving the danger that sharpens your edge. Do not mistake this for the end of your journey. It is only the sharpening of the blade. For there will come a day when the herd sends its shepherds after you, the priests, the teachers, the lovers who speak in the old language of chains. They will bring offerings, peace, forgiveness, the warm blanket of belonging. They will say, "Come home." You must answer with the only word they cannot understand, number. And in that refusal, you will taste the marrow of your freedom. The world will not thank you. It will not celebrate you. It may not even remember you. But you will walk it as a God walks the earth, not in dominion over others, but in dominion over yourself. You will have ceased to be a man among men. You will be the abyss they cannot look into without trembling. You will be the question they dare not ask, the fire they dare not touch, the storm they dare not follow. And perhaps Perhaps one among them will hear the sound of their own chains and wonder. And if they follow, it will not be because you led them, but because you showed them that the path exists. Do you feel it now? That faint crackle in the air, that is the sound of your own becoming, still distant, but drawing near. Do not wait for it to come to you. Run to meet it. And when you arrive, do not kneel, for the altar is gone. The idol is dust. There is only the fire, and it is yours. You think you have left the herd, but the herd lingers in you like a parasite that survives even after the body is burned. It speaks in the voice of caution. It moves in the reflex of apology. It hides in the corners of your mind like a priest who has survived the sacking of his temple. Do not be deceived. You have exiled yourself from the city, but you have not yet exiled the city from yourself. Its laws still coil around your instincts like vines around a buried sword. You must tear them away until your very blood runs naked and untamed. For the old morality will stalk you like a phantom, even in the wilderness. It will whisper, "Be less, take less, want less." It will try to sell you its counterfeit crown of virtue, polished in the fires of shame. And if you take it, you will wear it like a noose. I tell you, better to be naked and despised than clothed in the rags of the herd's blessing. Here, there are no shepherds, no maps, no promised lands. The wilderness offers you nothing but yourself, and that is its gift. There is no path but the one you carve into the stone with the edge of your own will. Every step must be an act of defiance, not against the world, but against the ghost of who you once were. You must become the executioner of your former self. Drag him into the open. Hold his gaze without pity. He will beg you with familiar words. I only wanted to be safe. I only wanted to be loved. And you must answer, I want to be neither. Then strike. Strike without hesitation, for hesitation is the final chain. Let his blood water the roots of your future. From this killing, a birth will come, not the meek birth of the lamb, but the volcanic birth of the earth itself, when fire cracked the crust and oceans boiled in their cradles. You will feel the tearing, the splitting, the molten rush of your own becoming. It will be agony, yes, but the agony of transformation, not decay. And in that hour, you will see visions, not visions of heaven, but of yourself as something the herd never dreamed was possible. You will see your will as a hammer, your mind as a forge, your life as the anvil upon which a god might be struck into existence. You will see the death of the small self as the first honest act you have ever committed. Then comes the laughter. Not the laughter of entertainment, not the hollow sound you traded in the marketplace of social comfort, but the deep, earth-shaking laughter that comes when you realize that the world cannot touch you. It can wound your flesh, exile your body, spit on your name, but it cannot kill you, for you have already died to it. What walks now is not the man they knew, but the fire they feared. And this fire is not for warmth. It is not for light. It is for burning. Burning the last maps that lead back to the city. Burning the bridges that would carry you home. Burning the old language that chained your tongue to the herd's vocabulary. Speak now, only in the language of creation. Do not say, I believe, say, I make. Do not say, I hope, say, I will. Do not say, I dream, say, I become. And when the herd hears you, they will think you have gone mad, for the sane speak always in the future tense of submission. This is the moment the sky cracks. This is the moment the old stars die. For in your gaze, new constellations will take shape, constellations no shepherd has named, no priest has blessed, no astronomer has charted. They will exist for you alone, and you alone will navigate by them. The earth beneath your feet will no longer be the earth of the herd. It will be your battlefield, your garden, your throne. You will plant there not the seeds of obedience, but the seeds of dangerous virtues, cruelty toward your own weakness, generosity toward your own becoming, pride in the scars of your trials. Do not think that the work ends here. This birth is not the end, it is the first breath of a life that will demand more of you than the herd ever dared. For to live as your own sovereign is to be in a constant state of creation, and creation is a war that never ends, and you will grow addicted to it. Addicted to the war against your own limits, addicted to the shattering of each new ceiling, addicted to the sight of yourself becoming more than you were the day before. It will be a hunger that eats sleep, a thirst that no water can quench. The herd will look upon you with both fear and envy. They will not understand why you walk with a stride that breaks the rhythm of their march. They will not understand why you do not bow to their gods or beg for their mercy, and so they will try to destroy you not with swords, but with their endless chorus of smallness. Come back, be like us. Forget the fire, and when they speak, you must remember the voice that first called you from your sleep, the voice that was not mine, but yours, unmasked. It will remind you, you did not come this far to kneel. Stand, then, stand with the sky torn open above you, with the earth still trembling beneath your steps. Stand as one who has buried his old self in the soil of his becoming and now walks upon the grave. From here, the road is infinite. The fire does not fade, it consumes, and consumes until there is nothing left to burn but the horizon itself. You have crossed the threshold, and the air here tastes different, sharp, metallic, like the breath before lightning strikes. The old voices are quieter now, not because they are gone, but because you have grown beyond their reach. Their words are like the echo of a church bell heard from a mountaintop, faint, distant, meaningless. Here, no commandments descend from the clouds. No carved tablets dictate your steps. The only law is the one you write in the marrow of your own being. And that law changes as you change, grows as you grow, sharpens as you sharpen. It is not given once, it is forged daily, in the heat of every decision that cuts against the grain of the world. This is what it means to be sovereign, not to be above others, but to be above yesterday's self. To take your own measure each morning and find it insufficient. To break yourself as often as the sculptor strikes the stone, not in hatred, but in the relentless pursuit of a form that does not yet exist. But understand this, the new law is dangerous. It will not bring you the comfort of belonging, but the loneliness of command. It will not protect you from failure, but demand that you court it, wrestle it, tear its teeth out, and wear them as trophies. It will not whisper of safety, but shout of possibility. And possibility is a storm that drowns the weak. The herd will see you as a heretic. They will say you are arrogant for daring to crown yourself. They will say you are dangerous for throwing down the old altars. They will say you are lost for walking without their maps. And in a way, they will be right, for you have chosen a sea without shores, a sky without constellations, a future without guarantees. But do not mistake their fear for wisdom. The sailor who never leaves the harbor cannot speak of the ocean. You must now become both the ocean and the storm. You must be the wind that drives your own sails, the current that carries you into the unknown. You must be the one who names the new continents when they rise from the deep. And if they sink again, you must be ready to dive after them, to claim their ruins as your kingdom. The herd's morality is built on fear, fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of themselves. Your morality must be built on will, will to create, will to destroy, will to become. Where they say, do not go too far, you will say, I have not yet begun. Where they say, this is enough, you will say, I am still starving. Where they say, we are only human, you will say, then I will be something else. Do you see now? This is why you could never remain among them. This is why their love felt like a chain, why their blessings tasted of dust. You were not made to live inside the fence. You were made to tear it down and see if the sky bleeds. But there is a cost. The sovereign life is not free. It is paid for daily, in blood, in doubt, in the quiet terror of knowing there is no one left to blame if you fail. You cannot hide behind the laws of the herd, for you have declared them dead. You cannot lean on their gods, for you have burned their altars. Every triumph will be yours, but so will every fall. And you must learn to love both, for each is the proof that you have dared. The new gods, the gods you forge within, are not merciful. They do not offer paradise for obedience. They do not threaten hell for disobedience. They are the gods of the forge and the hammer, the gods of the road and the fire. They demand not worship, but creation. They demand not faith, but strength. They demand not prayers, but victories. You will not find them in temples, but in the wilderness at the edge of your own courage. They will appear in the moment before you break, when the weight is too much and the night too long. They will stand beside you, not as saviors, but as mirrors, reflecting the face you are becoming. And they will ask only one question: will you go further? If you answer yes, you will feel the world crack open around you. Not the world of geography, but the world of your own possibility. New shapes will rise from the rubble of your old beliefs. New instincts will bloom where fear once took root. And you will begin to walk differently, not faster, not slower, but with the gravity of one who carries his own sun. This is when you will notice that the herd no longer shouts at you. They whisper now. They watch. They begin to sense that your defiance is not an act, but a state of being. Some will hate you for it, for you remind them of what they could have been. Others will begin to follow at a distance, trying to learn the steps without yet daring the leap. Do not slow for them. Do not turn back. You are not their shepherd. If they wish to join you, let them cross the fire as you did. Let them lose everything that was not theirs. Let them kill the selves they have been protecting all their lives. Only then will they stand beside you without leaning on you. For the world does not need more leaders. It needs more sovereigns. And a sovereign cannot be led. From here, the road will take you into storms that no man has charted. You will face trials that will not ask your permission to arrive. There will be nights when the fire seems small and the darkness infinite. And in those nights, you must remember the fire is not outside you. You carry it in your lungs, in your eyes, in the marrow of your bones. Even if the world were to drown, you would still burn. And that is the law of the new gods. Burn, even if the sky falls. Burn, even if the oceans rise. Burn until the world itself learns your name in the language of flame. Do not ask when this journey will end. Do not ask what lies at its final horizon. There is no final horizon. There is only the next step, the next creation, the next destruction. To walk this path is to become the path. To burn is to become the fire. And when you have walked so far that the herd's voice is only a memory, when the old gods are only myths told around the campfires of the timid, when the very air around you hums with the power of your own becoming, then you will understand that you were never meant to inspire, to lead, or to save. You were meant to be. And being is the most dangerous thing of all. And now the horizon stands before you, not as a boundary, but as a question without end. The air here is thin, sharp, and honest. It will not lie to you. The mountains below, the ruins behind, the endless vault of sky above all of it stares into you, demanding no worship, no explanation, no excuse. You are alone here, and yet you are not lonely. For solitude is no longer a wound but a crown. You have cast down the gods of the herd. You have broken their morality upon the anvil of your will. You have killed the self that knelt. And what remains? Not purity, not peace. Those were always the lies of the timid. What remains is power. Not power over others, that is the plaything of children, but the unshakable dominion over yourself. You walk now with the gait of one who has burned the bridges to every false heaven, who has tasted the ash of his own destruction and found it sweet. You carry your law not in books or stone, but in the weight of your gaze, in the steadiness of your breath, in the unbent arc of your spine. Wherever you step, the earth remembers. And yet the work is never done. For the sovereign is not a monument, he is a tide. He comes not to be admired, but to rise and fall, to break the shore, to carve the cliffs, to leave new landscapes where once there was only dust. Your life is not a shrine to what you have achieved. It is a forge in which every day must be molten again. Do not think the herd will disappear. It will always murmur beyond the edge of your firelight, calling you back with the voice of comfort, the voice of the old life. They will say, "You have proven enough. Rest." But you will know the truth that rest is the slow rot of the spirit, that the crown grows heavier when the head forgets to move. So walk. Walk until the roads vanish, and the stars no longer resemble the constellations of your childhood. Walk until your shadow becomes your only companion, and even it struggles to keep pace. Walk until the very language you speak bends under the weight of new meanings, until your laughter frightens the timid, and your silence unsettles the wise. There will come a day when the world no longer recognizes you. It will call you monster, God, madman, creator. It will not matter, for all these names are chains, and you have already shattered them. You will be nameless, and therefore infinite. You will be formless, and therefore eternal. And when you stand at last upon the highest peak of yourself, when there is no voice left to command you, no law left to bind you, no gaze left to judge you, then you will know the secret that the herd fears above all. That freedom is not given. It is taken. That virtue is not obedience, it is creation. That the highest God is not found in heaven, but in the furnace of your own becoming. So wear your crown without a master. Speak with the voice that made the idols tremble. Create as if the earth itself were your clay, and destroy as if the ashes could bloom. Let your very existence be the answer to every timid prayer, the thunderclap that silences every cautious hymn. For you are no longer a seeker, you are the source, and the world will never again be the same. First, the mountain, your life as a ridge, line where the air thins and excuses cannot breathe. You have carried other people's altars in your pack and wondered why your knees shook. You have mistaken the path of least resistance for destiny. Leave the caravans that circle the foothills. Ascend alone. Each step higher subtracts a law from your lungs. Vertigo is only your former self pleading for gravity. Do not console it. Let the cliffs shear you of softness. Let the altitude strip the falseness from your blood. One rule: upward, even when the stones bite, especially then. The summit is not a place. It is the angle of your spine when no witness remains. Now the abyss. Not a hole in the earth, but a silence inside you that refuses to echo other people's prayers. Stand at its lip without bargaining. Throw in your borrowed names, your borrowed smiles, your borrowed fears, and listen for the fall. The depth does not mock you, it measures you. If you cannot endure its gaze, you were never yours. Bend over the edge until you become the edge. And when the chill rises like a question, answer without words. I descend not to be lost, but to find what cannot live in daylight. What climbs out will not ask permission to exist. The rope. Imagine your days stretched between two precipices, origin and possibility. Most carry their weight like a procession of apologies. You will dance across, not because it is safe, but because safety is a rumor that fattened you on absence. Balance with what still shames you, rhythm with what still aches. Let the wind heckle, let the void applaud. Each step is a verdict you write in air. Do not look back to see who approves. Your foot is the only audience the rope respects. The forge, take the iron of your impulses, the raw ingots of desire you were taught to hide under polite carpets. Heat them with a tension so fierce it scares even you. Hammer them on the anvil of daily action until sparks name you. The slag of former intentions will hiss and crawl away. Let it. You are not crafting a cage. You are shaping a blade to cut yourself free, again and again, from yesterday's comfort. When the metal sings, It is not music. It is your will discovering tone. The hammer, not lifted against the world, but against the small architect inside who keeps renovating your prison with tasteful furniture. Smash the decorative gates. Shatter the glass that reflects only a manageable you. Every strike exposes fresh ore, unpolished, unsellable, necessary. Some blows will seem to ruin what you spent years forming. Good. If it breaks from one hit, it was holding you the whole time. A tool unused becomes a relic. A relic is only a memory with dust. The storm. Cross it without umbrella or myth. Let its torrents rinse the compliments that stuck to you like counterfeit metals. Lightning will sketch your silhouette against a sky that does not flatter. Thunder will declare you without biography. Do not ask the weather to be kind. Ask yourself to be large. The calm you once worshipped was a pact with drowsiness. Better to be soaked awake than to remain dry and invisible. Afterward, when the clouds empty themselves, you will not be clean, you will be new. The stone, sit upon it as kings once sat upon uncarved thrones. Feel the patience of granite enter your pulse. Patience that outlasts floods and fantasies. Here you practice the discipline that frightens the century. Staying. Not scrolling from task to task, face to mask, but staying until a single intention becomes dense enough to defy erosion. The stone does not attend workshops, it teaches by remaining. Learn to remain with your hardest question until it stops disguising itself as 10 smaller ones. The star. Your future is not a to-do list. It is a distant blaze that refuses to apologize for the dark between it and you. Travel by that cold fire. Others will offer nearer lamps that flatter your complexion, but lamps belong to rooms, and rooms belong to walls. The star belongs to space without fences. Chart your nights by a brilliance older than permission. The constellations you inherit are hand-me-downs. Unname them. Draw your own lines through sparks. Navigation is creation wearing a compass. The ocean. An empire that tests honesty by swallowing it. Wade in until the shore releases your ankles. Here your fears have the shape of waves, real, repetitive, conquerable. Dive beneath the crest where the noise is born and claim the floor. Hold your breath longer than the cautionary voices can count. When you surface, do not boast of resilience. Drag up new, wet laws from the deep and stand them on the sand. The tide will argue. Let it argue. You are not here to win. You are here to widen. The desert. A cathedral without ceilings. Walk into its glare without nostalgia. No shade of former certainties survives here. Thirst clarifies. Mirages parade their sweetness. Deny them, and your senses sharpen into instruments of truth. In this vast austerity, you will meet the one companion that cannot flatter you. Necessity. Share its salt. Let your tongue learn the flavor of demands that do not negotiate. By night, when the chill bites bone, you will understand why prophets chose emptiness. It is the only place large enough for a new oath. The volcano. Beneath your civility, pressures gather that polite language cannot ventilate. Do not cap them with etiquette. Create vents, labors, risks, vows that release heat without poisoning the valley. When the mountain opens, it is not rage. It is geology remembering its promise. Pour the molten self into channels you have prepared with study and audacity. Let it harden into new land you can walk upon. People will call the landscape dangerous. They mean alive. The mirror. Hang it where it refuses to flatter angles. Meet your gaze before dawn, when your mouth has not yet rehearsed the day's excuses. Ask it nothing. Simply stand until the person in the glass stops acting. Then speak one sentence you would build a decade upon. Etch it with breath. The mirror is a judge without a courtroom, a witness without applause. If you cannot face it, you are still campaigning for a vote that does not exist. The labyrinth. Enter without thread, not to escape, but to explore the parts of you that never learned sunlight. At each turning, Abolish the habit that kept you linear. Dead ends are teachers that charge in time. Touch the walls. They are written with the fingernails of your ancestors. All the ways they turned back. You will not. When you meet the center, there is always a center. Do not kill what waits there. Make a pact. It guards the depths. You carry the key, the seed. Bury this hour in difficulty. Cover it with tasks that would frighten yesterday. Do not pray for rain. Break the ground with your own fingers until the tendons sing. Growth is a betrayal of the comfortable soil. When the first green blade pierces the smallest spear on earth, do not celebrate. Defend it. Winds have sermons. Ignore them. The roots learn underground what the leaves will later preach from the air. The bridge. Become one, not for others to cross, but for yourself to traverse the distances you invented. Suspend over your private chasm, beam by beam, discipline, solitude, rigor, daring. The river below chants of drift and surrender. Smile at it, then step. Bridges do not move. They permit movement. To inhabit one is to accept tension as a home. Let the cables sing high notes that startle birds. By the time you reach the far bank, the near bank will have forgotten your name. The quarry. Descend with tools into the bedrock of habit and cut blocks of time from the strata of waste. Haul them up on your back. Each block is heavy with the fossil of an excuse. Chisel it away. Build with what remains a structure without decorations, a temple without sermons, a room with a single window pointing toward the hour you do not yet deserve. Sit there and earn it. The comet. Once in an epoch, your resolve must flare through the firmament of routine, tearing a script from sky to ground. It will scare the pastoral heavens. Good. Let a long tail of decisions burn behind you, visible to anyone who doubts that destiny can be authored. Do not orbit. Strike through. Even if you vanish into distance, the path will be remembered as a fever in the dark. The glacier. Move with a slowness that terrifies the impatient. Grind down the ridges of your weaknesses, not by fury, but by persistence, so cold it refuses to melt at praise. You will carry stones the size of former selves embedded in your belly. They will fall at the valley floor as monuments you do not claim. Centuries think they are immovable. You disagree with centuries by continuing. The bell. Cast one from the bronze of abandoned fears. Alloy them with failures until the metal rings clean. Hoist it high in your day and strike it at the hours that matter. Let the sound command your atoms back into alignment. When it tolls, begin. When it tolls again, stop. Rhythm is sovereignty with a tongue. The staircase. Carve steps into a cliff that never wanted you. Each riser a vow. Each tread a debt paid in sweat. The lower land will call you back with picnic voices. Deny them with a gesture that costs you breath. At the landing, do not build a house. Turn and cut another flight. If anyone follows, do not carry them. The staircase is built for legs that accept penalty as privilege. The lens. Focus your days until the scattered sunlight of effort ignites. Celebrations disperse. Concentration burns. Bring your tasks to a single point, so bright it forbids distraction. That point is not punishment. It is your name spoken without consonants. When the spark catches, feed it with attention, not spectacle. The world loves shows. You require results. The mine. Lower yourself into tunnels. Others abandoned because the ore was shy. Work by the dim lamp of your own standards. Hits will be rare. That is why a single vein can crown a decade. The pickaxe rhythm becomes a prayer with knuckles. When you break into glitter, remember, the veins that enrich you most often run beneath the ruins of your excuses. The compass. Throw away those that point toward applause. Forge one whose needle trembles at integrity alone. Set it spinning with a question only you can hear. When it stabilizes, accept its verdict even if it leads you into weather that wants to edit your bones. A tool is holy when it refuses to flatter the hand that holds it. The kiln. Set your raw attempts in the heat of scrutiny, and let your vanity evaporate like paint, thin water. Some works will crack along hairline lies. Some will explode with the noise of hidden air. Sweep, remake, re-enter the glow. There is a temper that cannot be imitated, only earned by standing in brightness long enough to stop blinking. The horizon. Walk until it moves because of you. Do not model your pace on caravans that hold their nostalgia in velvet trunks. A stride is a creed. Lengthen yours until fatigue protests like an old bureaucracy. Stamp it with a new seal, continuing. Horizons are agreements between effort and distance. Renegotiate ruthlessly. The Anvil Song. There exists a music only heard by those who labor without spectators. It is the duet of pressure and aim. Tune your days to it. Audience confuses tempo. Silence corrects it. When the melody steadies, build a life around that. Beat a life that dances the weight into grace without changing the weight. The Canyon. Shout your oldest name and wait. If the echo returns unchanged, you have not spoken deeply enough. Descend and try again. Erosion is not an enemy. It makes space for multiplied voice. Plant a flag at the riverbed that reads, "I did not come here to be loud. I came here to be true." Then climb, letting the walls write you as they recede. The spindle. Draw tough fibers from your mornings and twist them into thread. Weave your afternoons without ornament until they hold. Drape your evenings not in luxury but in proof. Meters of plain cloth that can be cut into shelter for a task not yet imagined. Fashion is for catalogs. Fabric keeps you through winter. The lighthouse. Appoint yourself guardian of your own passage. Bolt your discipline to a cliff and turn its beam through fogs that have names like yesterday and if only. Let ships you do not own be warned by your constancy. Most storms are merely opinions with water. Your light is a vow rotating. The keel. Build it from refusals. Taper it sharp enough to blade through currents of habit. Above the waterline, paint whatever pleases you. Below, the unseen wood takes the damage you've chosen to own. Sail by winds that do not gossip. Map by scars on your palms. Harbors will court you. Visit briefly. Leave fully. The orchard. Plant 10 labors knowing 5 will die in frost. 3 will rot unnoticed. 1 will feed strangers. And 1 will change the taste of your tongue. Tend them without superstition. Prune the sentiment that keeps dead branches for nostalgia's silhouette. When the ripening comes, eat standing. Bow to no season. The mast. Lash yourself to a vow strong enough to outsing temptations that wear the perfume of kindness. Sailors call it survival. You will call it fidelity to the unheard melody. Do not unbind when the song becomes soft. Soft songs drown more men than storms. Untie only when the coast is a demand, not a suggestion. The stairwell of air, sometimes ascent, requires no structure but lungs. Inhale the challenge you fled last year. Exhale the story that defended the flight. Rise by the invisible rungs of decision stacked upon decision. Altitude is agency measured by breath. Do not cough yourself back to ground. The vault. Keep one chamber in your heart, empty and inviolable. Not for secrecy, but for scale. A place where ambitions echo until they terrify you with their sincerity. Store no relics there. Only the future fits. Visit often. The door opens only to those who refuse to explain why they knocked. The whetstone. You have become blade. Now refuse dullness. Draw your edge along resistance daily, not to slash the world, but to keep the cut of your promise keen. Sharpen with reading that humbles you, with practice that embarrasses you, with challenges that insult your former ceiling. A blunt life is heavier than iron. The clock. Refuse the calendar that sedates with anniversaries of inaction. Split your day into sovereign hours and tax each with effort. Time is not a river. It is a government you overthrow by decree. I will spend no more on what does not multiply me. Budget like a warrior counting arrows. The well, dig where you stand. Do not pilgrim from workshop to workshop, teacher to teacher, hoping to be irrigated by novelty. The water below you is ancient and exacting. Lower the bucket of focus past the chatter of soil. Pull until your shoulders solve the problem your mouth narrates. Drink alone. Share when asked. Without sermon. The stare of night. There is a rung in darkness that daytime forgets. Climb it by refusing to close your eyes when fatigue petitions like a loyal friend. Midnight grants patents for inventions morning will steal credit for. File yours in the ink of persistence. Then sleep like a fortress. Rise like a verdict. The quarry wind. Feel it slice through your declarations and carry away everything not dense. Speak fewer words that weigh more. A sentence that survives this gale can anchor a year. Tie your projects to such sentences. Let gossip go like leaves. Keep stones. The crucible of praise. You will be tempted by garlands. Burn them. If they cannot survive flame, they could not support you. In the residue, collect the mineral that remains. The small, hard fact of what you actually did. Smelt it into another attempt. Monuments seduce. Minerals build. The river bend. There arrives a turning in every course where water refuses its former obedience. Bend now, not because terrain commands, but because you choose to discover new ground. Eddies will accuse you of betrayal. Continue until they cannot keep up with their own accusations. The bellows. Stoke the sleeping embers of your craft with regular breaths of discomfort, not drama oxygen. Pump until the coals admit they were only pretending to be ash. When the glow returns, place upon it one task that scares you into accuracy. Exhale. Repeat. Mastery is respiration under heat. The ledger. Audit your life without pity. Credit what cost you. Debit what fed vanity. Balance the account by charging a fee to every distraction that dared to knock. If your arithmetic offends you, you have discovered a truth worth paying for. Adjust, collect, proceed solvent. The cleft. There will be a split between who you were loyal to and who you must become. Enter it like a blade entering the join of armor. Twist, not to wound, but to open passage. On one side, chorus. On the other, cadence. Choose cadence. Walk through the hiss of unloved expectations until silence greets you as kin. The kiln of solitude. Heat yourself alone until the glaze of public persona vitrifies and cannot absorb the stains of fashion. When you return to the crowd, you will be less porous to their weather. Do not confuse this with aloofness. It is simply the integrity of fired clay. It holds water because it endured flame. The rung of refusal. Ascend by saying no to a beloved comfort each day. Not asceticism architecture. Every refusal is a beam you lay across the gap between potential and event. Soon there is a bridge where once there was envy. Cross. Burn no planks. Burn hesitation. The catapult. Build tension by drawing back from compulsions that fragment you. Hold. Hold longer. Then release into a single aim with the joy of a stone kissing distance. Impact is not violence when the target is your own limit. Reload with the discipline of engineers of old wars. Your campaign is against decay. The ledger of scars. Inventory them not as grievances, but as proof of investments that yielded character. Touch each mark until it tells you what it purchased. If the price was low, you paid in theatrics. If high, you purchased a hallway through which you now stride unchallenged. Wear your receipts. The picked lock. Enter rooms you are told require permits. The tumblers are not gatekeepers but habits aligned against themselves. Learn their music. Turn the tension wrench of attention while lifting pins of doubt one by one. When the door gives, do not steal furniture. Rewire the light. The dawn cliff. Arrive before the sun and stand where the first edge of day must negotiate with rock. Watch the bargaining fail. Day wins by rising, the cliff wins by remaining. Emulate both. Rise without begging. Remain without apology. Let the first strike of light deputize your bones. The oath. Craft one simple sentence that would frighten your older self into honesty. Swear it privately and enforce it publicly through choices, not announcements. Let others guess at its wording from the architecture of your hours. Oaths shouted our banners. Oaths kept our kingdoms. The corridor of thresholds. Doors lined both sides, each labeled with the names of moods and murmurs. Open them only when your reason consents. You are the custodian of entry. Let no passing whim pull the fire alarm in your cathedral. Calm is not emptiness, it is authority unpanicked. The millstone. Yoke your vanity to labor until it grinds grain instead of grinding you. Turn and turn until the flour of competence piles, white and patient. Bake with it works that feed you first. Share what remains, not to be loved but to be real. Bread is truth that refuses applause. The hourglass. Invert it when fear says wait. Sand does not care about your prefaces. Work while it falls. When the last grain drops, stop with the precision of a blade and the mercy of a surgeon. Rest then without guilt, a rest earned, not argued. Tip and begin. The ice field. Cross without leaving tracks that guide imitation. Not secrecy, singularity. The sun will erase your passage by noon. This is mercy. Your task is not to be followed, but to have gone. Take from the cold its clarity, not its cruelty. Warmth awaits those who bring it. The workshop of names. Strip yourself down to letters that still bite. Speak them aloud until they cut a groove in your mouth. From these sharp syllables, build new titles that do not beg for approval. Maker. Warden. Witness. Wear one until it fits. Then outgrow it. The stare of thunder. Mount when resistance speaks in weather. Use the drum in your chest to match the sky. Pace is a verdict. Escalation is a creed. At the top, do not raise arms, raise standards. Let the storm find you unnegotiable. The reef. Expose the hidden teeth of your boundaries at low tide. Let those who drift toward you learn patience or bleed. You are not a harbor. You are a coastline with rules older than maps. Defend them without drama. Biology has nothing to prove. The room with a single chair. Go there daily. Sit and face the task that makes your jaw set. No music, no rescue. 10 minutes if that is all you can bear. An hour when the metal softens. Leave only when something in you has shifted from passenger to pilot. That movement is worth a monument you will never build. The corridor of trophies never claimed. Pass through and nod. They glitter for versions of you that died well. Do not revive them for ceremony. The uncollected shines brighter because it did not detain you. Let your footsteps be the only applause. The crest. There will come a height beyond which the air is composed of decision alone. From there, you will see the scaffolding of your former life collapse into the toy it always was. Do not mourn architecture that could not hold the weather of what you became. Cut the last tether, not to float, but to stride, where maps behave like rumors. The quiet meadow that follows. Lie down not to rest, but to measure stillness against your new interior noise. If the grass cannot soothe you, you have more to build. If it does, rise before comfort breeds vines. Softness is a spice. It is not a diet. The lantern of departures. Keep one ready for leaving what you love, when it begins to anchor more than inspire. Loyalty to growth is the only fidelity that keeps its word. Walk out before the furniture learns your spine. The path will forgive you for passing. It was made to forget footprints. The cliff of yes. Leap not into chaos but into the exactness of decision distilled. While you are airborne, biographies will try to cling like birds. Shake them off. Land as if the ground consented. It will, if you bring a promise heavier than fear. The wheel. Turn it yourself. Harness no beast but your intention. round and round until the arc becomes invisible and only motion remains. A moving life does not apologize to milestones. It creates them inadvertently, like sparks on stone. The last ember in your hands. Protect it from the winds of compromise, cupped like a secret between palms. Do not show it to those who would warm themselves without feeding it. Find wood called discipline, bark called focus, resin called courage. Build a small, contained blaze that lights your labor and nothing else. Let no wide glare announce you. Let heat announce results. When the coal glows like an eye that does not blink, place it at the center of your day and keep it. Not to burn the world, but to temper yourself into the instrument the world could not imagine and cannot ignore. And then walk, not as one who seeks signposts, but as one whose steps become them. If a voice asks for permission, let your silence answer with motion. If a doubt asks for proof, hand it your next action. If the era insists on gentler edges, carve until the figure appears that fits your name. The sky may not open, the earth may not applaud, but the line of your days will cut deeper and truer than monuments. And at dusk, when the air tastes of iron and victory and unnamed distances, you will know, not that you were right, but that you were real. Growth is the only fidelity that keeps its word. Walk out before the furniture learns your spine. The path will forgive you for passing. It was made to forget footprints. The cliff of yes. Leap not into chaos, but into the exactness of decision distilled. While you are airborne, biographies will try to cling like birds. Shake them off. Land as if the ground consented. It will, if you bring a promise heavier than fear. The wheel. Turn it yourself. Harness no beast but your intention. Round and round until the arc becomes invisible and only motion remains. A moving life does not apologize to milestones. It creates them inadvertently, like sparks on stone. The last ember in your hands. Protect it from the winds of compromise, cupped like a secret between palms. Do not show it to those who would warm themselves without feeding it. Find wood called discipline, bark called focus, resin called courage. Build a small, contained blaze that lights your labor and nothing else. Let no wide glare announce you. Let heat announce results. When the coal glows like an eye that does not blink, place it at the center of your day and keep it. Not to burn the world, but to temper yourself into the instrument the world could not imagine and cannot ignore. And then walk, not as one who seeks signposts, but as one whose steps become them. If a voice asks for permission, let your silence answer with motion. If a doubt asks for proof, hand it your next action. If the era insists on gentler edges, carve until the figure appears that fits your name. The sky may not open, the earth may not applaud, but the line of your days will cut deeper and truer than monuments. And at dusk, when the air tastes of iron and victory and unnamed distances, you will know growth is the only fidelity that keeps its word. Walk out before the furniture learns your spine. The path will forgive you for passing. It was made to forget footprints. The cliff of yes. Leap not into chaos, but into the exactness of decision distilled. While you are airborne, biographies will try to cling like birds. Shake them off. Land as if the ground consented. It will, if you bring a promise heavier than fear. The wheel. Turn it yourself. Harness no beast but your intention. Round and round until the arc becomes invisible and only motion remains. A moving life does not apologize to milestones. It creates them inadvertently, like sparks on stone. The last ember in your hands. Protect it from the winds of compromise, cupped like a secret between palms. Do not show it to those who would warm themselves without feeding it. Find wood called discipline, bark called focus, resin called courage. Build a small, contained blaze that lights your labor and nothing else. Let no wide glare announce you. Let heat announce results. When the coal glows like an eye that does not blink, Place it at the center of your day and keep it. Not to burn the world, but to temper yourself into the instrument the world could not imagine and cannot ignore. And then walk. Not as one who seeks signposts, but as one whose steps become them. If a voice asks for permission, let your silence answer with motion. If a doubt asks for proof, hand it your next action. If the era insists on gentler edges, carve until the figure appears that fits your name. The sky may not open, the earth may not applaud, but the line of your days will cut deeper and truer than monuments. And at dusk, when the air tastes of iron and victory and unnamed distances,